Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Gold. This is what we do and why we do it, baby. We rollin'!
Covering MMA from all over the world, this is the premier stop for all your combat sports needs. MMA Junkie Radio, the only show broadcasting live from the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. The lights are on and the mics are hot. It's time to get your MMA fix, junkies. Take it away, Big John.
Gorgeous George and Goes, are you ready? Junkie Nation, are you ready? Well, let's get it on.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are lucky enough to be listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the co-host / producer Goes, who will be on and off camera, but he wanted me to send his regards to Junkie Nation. Producing back east, it's the lovable Gabby. She's Gabbyless. And our special co-host for the day, Stitch Duran from the boxing, MMA, and bare knuckle world. What's up? How you doing?
I'm tired right about now, man. But, you know, when Goes called me, you know I got to perform here. So
good to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
And, you know, we got the idea, Stitch, because we'll get into bare knuckle, obviously. But right at the end, it reminded me, you know, you were right in the middle of a big fight on a Saturday night. And I could see the combatants talking. I could see, you know, you were there. And so you had a special seat. And I was like, okay, I got to hear what Stitch thought of all this, because you can draw experience from boxing, MMA, and now bare knuckle is starting to. It's a short history,
yeah,
but it's starting to grow. And I'm telling you, it took over Twitter on Saturday night. So we'll definitely jump on that. I also want to let everybody know we're gonna have Daniel Cormier. He's gonna call in later on in the show, and we're also gonna be talking to Justin Willis, as well as Artem Lobov, I believe, may even connect with us. So we're trying to make that happen and solidify that. But in the meantime, Stitch, you know, you went to Japan, came back to Vegas, did a show here, flew off to Tampa. So hopefully you're not too discombobulated and you're all set now.
Pretty much, yeah. You know, it was a crazy trip for me. I spent 4 days in Tokyo with Kazuta Ioka. Mm-hmm. He ended up fighting on Wednesday, Japan time. He ended up making history as a Japanese fighter. First fighter to win 4 world title fights in 4 different divisions. You know, so
and I think that was the first boxing card on UFC Fight Pass too.
It was, yeah, that's right. You know,
pretty historic.
Yeah, that's right. It was on Fight Pass. So, you know, got home Thursday about 2:00. Went home, showered, you know, packed stuff that I needed to go to Tampa. Did the FFC show here Thursday night, and 11 o'clock after the show, I was at the airport.
Which, by the way, is a hybrid of boxing, MMA, and kickboxing.
Yes.
So you actually probably had 4 different types of combat that you had to tend to by the time you were done with bare knuckle on Saturday.
Yeah, did them all.
Yeah.
You know, so that was kind of nice. So it was a little exhausting, I'm not going to lie. Mm-hmm. You know, just more the traveling, not so much the work that I do, but just the traveling and the time zones.
Okay.
But I'm here in living color.
Well, I got a lot of questions for you. And if you have a question for Stitch, call in at 877-FIGHT93, 877-344-4893. You can also hit us up at Twitter, at MMA on SiriusXM. That also works for the other shows on the channel. So, Stitch, I mean, is it painfully obvious that probably bare knuckle gives you the most work?
Yeah,
out of bare knuckle, MMA, kickboxing, and boxing?
Yeah, you know, I haven't taken statistics on this, but I would probably venture to say a fair number is 80% of them will get cut. You know, so yeah, definitely guaranteed work, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I know you weren't in Paulie's corner, you were in Artem's corner, but man, that gash on Paulie's eyebrow was pretty deep.
Yeah, it was.
Like, these guys, you know, this fight wasn't like Knight and Lobov. It didn't have that volume.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, they got some shots in.
They both got shots in, you know, Artem, and he was glad that I worked in his corner. He had his volume of cuts, no doubt about it. But, you know, it's funny because I got into the hotel, I'm checking in, and I see Jason Knight there. And, you know, I'd taken the pictures. Everybody had taken pictures of him. But I thought he had 10 cuts that had to be sewn. Mm-hmm. He said, no, I had 12. You know? so he had more than his share of cuts, you know. And I guess he's doing the main event on the next bare knuckle fight.
They did that. You know, that kind of reminded me a little bit of the old UFC where Dana White would make an announcement on a future show. because the shows were like 2-3 months apart.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was a good way to hype up what was coming. Now they have a show every week, so this week's show can promote next week's, and the next week can promote in 2 weeks, you know, all that. Yeah. But I really like that they gave us that on Fight Night. Just gave us something to look forward to, because I'm already in on the next Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship 7. I'm in, you know, start building the card.
And he's fighting Leonard Garcia, you know, so that's going to be another toe-to-toe fight, you know. These guys aren't going to step back at all. I know Leonard, on his last show, he's designed for that game.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And how about Knight was standing with Artem?
Yes.
Like, when they were getting ready to do the announcement, you know, gave him a slap on the ass. He put his arm around him, said something to him. But you could tell, I didn't want it this way, Stitch, but it went down this way. It was boxing versus MMA. By the time the fight happened, people had taken some sides, and so I like that camaraderie of Knight and Artem, who had just beat the crap out of each other 2 months ago, but they were like, he was congratulating him, you know, giving him a congratulations. So that was pretty cool to see too.
Yeah, you know, it's a respect factor, George. You know, when you go out there and, you know, you give your soul to each other, you know, there has to be some kind of respect, and that's what I like about that sport. In all sports, you know, guys go in there and you can talk a lot of mess, but, you know, once you go out there and you throw down, and after the fights, you know, you go over there and you kind of, you know, hug each other and show respect, and that's what makes this game so entertaining for me.
Yeah. So the final decision was 48-47 for Artem Lobov. He won 3 rounds in all of the judges' eyes. I believe that's how they called it, right? All of them had the exact same score. Over Paulie Malignaggi. Malignaggi did look shocked at the score, and I believe even up until today he still is dismayed at how that came about. Wasn't too impressed with the judging, but I'll tell you, I've seen it 2-3 times now, and I think they got it right. Look, all the rounds were close, and had that night they said 48-47 Malignaggi, I probably would have said whoa, but accepted it. It wasn't I wasn't gonna throw around the term robbery or nothing like that. Funny business, the fix, none of that shit. But when they announced it, I thought that was right. And then after watching it 2-3 times, like I say, it was a low volume type fight, but Artem just had more of it, and he actually had more of the heavier shots too.
Yeah.
And that was that.
You know, and I was explaining to Goes before we got on the air that Dave Feldman had the team, all the fighters get together and gave him the instructions of what he expects. And, you know, basically he says, this isn't boxing, this is bare knuckle fighting. And we want performance, we want action. And as a matter of fact, there's a little circle inside of the ring, the circle. And he says, you know, whoever fights there and stays in that circle will get a bonus. You know, so they want action. Jeez. And and when you go into that type of thing, and obviously, you know, Paulie and Lobov weren't there because they were the main events, so they didn't get to hear that transition right there. But I think that in the eyes of the judges, that's what made the decision for Lobov.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. You know, after 2 rounds, Malignaggi showed me that the skills that a boxer can bring over with a little bit of experience in a couple bare knuckle can make them very formidable going forward. Like, I would expect Paulie to be better if he were to do it again. Sounds like he's not, because they have just quick reactions, quick speed. They you know, they know how to maneuver themselves using footwork, head movement. And after 2 rounds, even though Paulie hadn't done much, he was winning the rounds, but he just looked superior, faster. But Artem figured him out. Like, and that is pretty admirable, because he only had 1 minute between rounds 2 and 3, and then in rounds 3, 4, and 5, you could tell he was reading, he was assessing, and he was making adjustments, and he was able to win those last 3 rounds, and that was very, very impressive. Yeah. So again, congratulations to Artem Lobov for getting that win over Paulie Malignaggi. Paulie again said, you know, he said had he won, he may think about doing it again, but he says he's probably done. He's icing his hands. Feels like he broke one of them for sure, maybe the other one, and you know, that's that. And of course, Artem, I'm sure, will be back. He's becoming one of their bigger stars.
Yeah, he is, definitely. You know, and it was nice because, you know, he walks out and everybody cheers him, and Paulie walked out and everybody booed him. You know, so yeah, I think he's becoming an instant star in the bare knuckle fighting. Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, and such a good kid. Yeah, you know, for me, it was a pleasure to work with him.
We'll go over some of the other results as well, but at least I want to cover the fact that Dakota Cochran did beat Chris Lieben. And also, they had started a tournament at Bare Knuckle Fighting 3, I believe. It was last October. I know that. It was an 8-man tournament in their lightweight division, even though they weigh in at 135. They call it the lightweight division. So this was the crowning of that tournament, and it featured Reginald Barnett Jr. versus Johnny Bedford. Johnny, of course, we know from the MMA world. Right. Although I hear Barnett's also had some MMA fights. I was not aware of that. and Johnny Bedford won that fight. So that was pretty entertaining. So BKFC 6 had a lot, and so now he's their lightweight champion. And I mentioned Artem's, slowly becoming one of their big names, and Johnny Bedford's got to be one of the other ones.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that was a good example right there of staying within that inner circle. And as you see, Johnny Bedford kept trying to bring Reggie in.
Yeah.
Come on, let's fight right here and right now. And so yeah, he did good, and what a good kid, man. I remember him from the UFC days, and I always told him, I said, not to be racist, I told him, I said, but man, you're the toughest white boy I've ever met in my life, And
what did he say to that?
Oh, he said, no, it's a compliment, thanks, man.
Yeah.
And we've been friends ever since, But this kid could fight, he could fight, and he's tough as nails, and like I say, he is designed for this game, and there's a certain few that cross that line from being a boxer, MMA fighter, going into bare knuckle fights, And Chris Lieben, like I say, I thought was definitely one that was designed for that. But I don't know if time has caught up to him, through all these battles that he's been in. I don't know if we'll see him again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Stitch, because the event was set up as boxing versus MMA, the main event, that is.
Yeah.
And we saw Paulie Malignaggi even kind of taking a few shots at MMA fans and all that. What it seemed like it created was this divide between boxing and MMA amongst the fighters at BKFC. When the event was over and everybody went back, before the event, you could see people were cheering for Artem, people were kind of booing Paulie. What were the fighters' reactions? Was it kind of a congratulations to Artem because he won the fight, but also maybe thanks for giving MMA a little bit of street cred? Did they have that feeling in the back as well?
Yeah, they did. I think they, of course, who couldn't give Artem any credit to the performance that he did. But yeah, exactly. It's that fine line. And just gives these guys, the bare knuckle fighters, a lot more respect. So even during the fight, I'm cleaning up Artem, and Paulie comes in, and you're talking about the respect factor, and I'm working on him. Paulie's right there, and they're making amends, and saying I'm sorry and this and that, and I respect you and what have you not. So me doing that, I thought about you guys, because I was giving you behind the scenes,
right?
And but that happened there, and I think whatever animosity they had towards each other has gone at the end of the fifth round.
Mm-hmm. All right, well. It was really, really a fun night of fighting. BKFC 6 and BKFC 7's coming up in August, and I'm sure we'll have a blast covering that. And I know some MMA fans slowly have been embracing the sport. There's been a lot of resistance early on, but I know a lot of you were tweeting about it, talking about it. So that's why we've been amping our coverage as well, because for one, Goes and I enjoy it, and two, I think the numbers are talking.
Yeah.
Sure, you might have some vocal Twitter followers that just aren't into it, but I'm telling you, for every 10 that are just not there yet, I got another 40 on the other side going, man, I loved it, man. What'd you think of this fight? What'd you think of that fight? When's the next one? So there you have it. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, Channel 156. We'll keep talking about BKFC 6 when we come back. Stitch was behind the scenes. He was in the corner of Artem Lobov, and he was in the corner of many fighters that night. So we'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back. And don't forget, the champ, Daniel Cormier, is going to be stopping by later on in the show. Justin Willis, another UFC heavyweight. Is he in the UFC still? If not, is he not? I don't know. We'll have to clear that up. When he gets here, he'll be in studio. So don't touch that dial.
To the winner, by unanimous decision, Artem, the Russian Hammer, Global!
Put excellence and excitement in your Vitamix. Add ice, and you get MMA Junkie Radio.
Tonight at 9 Eastern, it's the 2009 NBA Awards Show. Find out who will win the Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, MVP, and more on NBA Radio, Sirius 207, XM86, and streaming on your phone, and at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. I think Choke of the Year is going to go to the Golden State Warriors, but I haven't validated that award. I think that was on the prelims of the award show.
That's a cool shot.
All right. Well, they've won enough for 5 years. They can take a little hate.
Well, I know Gabby feels good, man, because you're going to somebody else now.
I'm telling you, she fires back, though, man. All right. So, Paulie Malignaggi, he did the post-fight press conference, and then he also got interviewed in the ring, and I think he was trying to be classy in defeat. He gave Artem a bow. They embraced, and like Stitch just told us prior to the break, there was some respect. They were kind of squashing the beef, per se. But there's still a little bit of that, I feel like I was the winner. And the reason it doesn't come off well is when you're a boisterous individual, you're going to ruffle feathers.
Right.
So if in the end it doesn't go your way, I think you either just got to own it and say congrats to the winner, which is something Conor McGregor's really, really good at. Yeah. I mean, granted, he got choked out, so it's not like he was going to argue that one, right? When he lost to Nate Diaz and Khabib or whatever. But I still think when you're either there or I don't think you can do both. I think you can just either stick to the script and just be like the sorest loser of all time, or shake the man's hand and say, that's the winner right there, folks, and I'm retiring and blah, blah, blah. Because if you stand on your laurels, I mean, he's still a two-time boxing world champion,
Sure.
He's still a Showtime broadcaster. So he's made a mark, for his life that he should be proud of. But when you're kind of like dipping in and, hey, congrats, but you got lucky. Hey, man, you're the man, but I'll get you next time. Hey, but if not for the judges, you see what I'm saying? So I don't know. I just wish there was one or the other. I really like Paul. He's been in our studio, and getting to meet him, I can just tell how the love that he has for combat sports is something I share with him, But it didn't go down that way. But now, our friends at the Fights, they had him on the show, and this was just prior to us. So we have some really, really fresh cuts here of Paulie Malignaggi talking to Jerry Cooney and Randy Gordon. So let's go one by one here. This is him addressing the MMA community, the fans, and the judges. This is Paulie Malignaggi from At the Fights tonight.
I kind of figured this crowd is a bit too simple-minded to understand that anyway.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Judging from the reactions I got from the mixed martial arts fighters, forget about and the media, they were definitely too simple-minded to understand what I was doing, because nobody understands what I was doing. This is like teaching trigonometry to a class of retards here. You know what I'm saying? Like it's way beyond their understanding.
Well, I think it was vice versa. He didn't understand the bare knuckle fighting.
Right.
And in that situation, I think he kind of learned that it's not about moving around and boxing. It's about going and throwing chingasos.
You got to connect something, right? Even if it's just a jab.
Yeah.
And tell you what, these MMA fans, just hours before, I had seen a guy named Kevin Holland who had thrown out his shoulder. He's probably going to have to reconstruct his shoulder. And he had his shoulder stitch protecting his jaw, and he was throwing his jab and throwing kicks. Granted, I know it's MMA. He has the luxury of a kick or an elbow or something, but he was doing something. Yeah. And Alessio Di Chicaro, his opponent, he was like, what? But I was like, bro, Alessio, he outstruck you even with the one hand. You know what I mean? So MMA fans, we also have a certain bar of what we expect of the athletes, or what we've seen from the athletes. Maybe that's not the right word or whatever, but at least from what we've seen. And just hours before, we saw another guy gut through something like that. Okay, Paulie, we get it. You hurt your hand in round 2, but in the first 2 rounds, you still weren't that active either. You were winning, and you were avoiding punches. Very smart. He's a talker. He needs to save those brain cells. His sport's behind him. He's done with boxing. This is just him going out and testing himself in another sport. Much respect and everything. But I don't think the judges were at fault here, and I don't think the MMA fans were at fault either. Like I say, you pump this thing up, and so with that comes some of the backlash.
Sure.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah, like I say, it's more of not understanding the bare knuckle fights, because as Dave Heyman says, Dave Feldman says this isn't boxing, this is bare knuckle fighting.
Yeah.
And there's two different elements, right?
Yeah.
So, whether he'll do it again, I wouldn't think so.
Did you talk to Paulie at all?
No, just I went to the dressing room before the fights and, just kind of, wished him all the best and what have you not, because I've known Paulie through the Showtime fights and everything. So, just kind of show my love a little bit to him, but not letting him
Post-fight?
Before the fight.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, nothing post-fight.
Yeah, and the dressing room.
All right. Here on cut number 2, he addresses the broken hand.
I wanted to give them a show. I wanted to have my pride intact and fight as a man. Really, did they even deserve to have the fight continue? Did they even deserve to, for me to have? I'm 38 years old, honestly. I could have just sat down in the corner and said, screw this. I'm going to take my check and go home. Yeah, my hand's broken. I'm done fighting as a one-handed fighter like I have a lot of my career. I'm simply done. I could have done that.
Well, that night he said, I'm not sure. He wasn't sure if he broke his hand. I know he had the adrenaline, coursing through him. He wasn't sure, but he was saying, look, it kind of feels like how I've done it in the past. Okay, I get it. And I was telling Goes on the way, look, if it was really that bad and you had that type of an injury, then I suppose you could have. I mean, you were up 2-0. It's not like you're the guy that was down or anything like that.
Yeah.
But
I think if he wanted any respect, he wouldn't have got it that way. People would have booed him. The social media would have gone crazy. He manned up and continued fighting. I think Julian Lane broke both his hands, and he went the distance. So that's, like I say, that's the difference between boxing and bare knuckle fights. These guys continue to fight.
Yeah.
And cuts, and they get cuts and they continue to fight. So.
Here he's talking about Artem Lobov in cut number 3. He says, no disrespect to Artem Lobov, but, and here's the cut.
This was basically them trying to have one over on boxing. Like, okay, we're going to take this guy, we're going to use him as a trophy man. So they were never going to give me that. And again, this is no disrespect to Artem, because honestly, Artem is a good dude. We talked that out after, and he always shows up to fight no matter what. If you look at that guy, he shows up to fight anywhere in the world at any given point on a drop of a dime. And you can only give respect to a man like that and to a fighter like that. So it's not a disrespect to him, but I felt like when I looking back, like this was like their chance to say, you know what, we got one over.
Man, I disagree.
I don't think that was even the case.
No, me neither.
And coming in, Paulie had a big name, and it was a good opportunity for the bare knuckle fight championships to see somebody of that high quality, caliber to come in and fight in the bare knuckle fight. But no, I disagree on that totally.
Me too. And I thought the first 2 rounds, like I said, he was winning the rounds, not convincingly, but I think they were solid 10-9s, and you could see Artem was having a little bit of frustration. Again, Artem went on to figure out the puzzle because he still had 3 more rounds to go. But you could see that there was a difference in the skill level when it came to just footwork, the hands, the speed. So I just believe that a little bit more of that. I mean, even in round 5, I rewatched round 5 many times, and in that round he basically does almost 0. Yeah. So he would have had to have thought that he won 3 of the first 4, or at least the first 3, to just think, well, I'm just going to cruise control this and get out of town. But look, it was his first time. He is 38 years old, and that's fine. But I don't know. All right, it's pretty interesting here. Let's continue on here. He talks about the clinch game and how he neutralized it. It was part of the work that he did with Ray Longo, by the way. He sought out an MMA guy for some advice.
If you're not allowed to kick, and you're not allowed to take me to the ground, and you're allowed to hold and hit in the clinches, but I neutralize that for 99% of the fight, and therefore we're still fighting, you're now fighting a boxing match. Because I'm not allowing you to hold and hit, you're not allowed to kick, you're not allowed to take me down. What are you doing? You're now boxing, because now I'm dictating what we're doing. So this fight just became a boxing match. Boxing is still a form of fighting, and I've just forced you to box. So those judges gave Artem Lobov a decision in a fight where we boxed the whole time.
I do got to give him credit, and I was going to mention that before this little clip popped up, but I'd always said that if nobody taught Paulie how to break out of that dirty boxing stance, then he was going to be in deep trouble.
Right.
But he did good. I got to give him credit. He did good and took that weapon away from Artem. Yeah. So props to him on that.
And I'm telling you, all these rounds were really, really close. Yeah. Paulie was that close to, because again they weren't as active. Right. Just a couple, like a flurry, a strong flurry, bah 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 bah, And I'm telling you, the judge would have wrote 10-9 either way on almost every single round. This is the last cut, and this is where he reassures us that he's 100% retired. And again, this is courtesy of At the Fights here on Fight Nation Channel 156.
Yeah, you always try to look for the next adventurous thing, but I'm going to have to look for the next adventurous thing that's outside of fighting, you know? I don't think I can keep looking for it in fighting. I think I was always tough enough to be a fighter, but my hands never cooperated with me the way I wanted them to. I'm glad I can say proudly that I probably accomplished more as a one-handed fighter than most fighters do as two-handed fighters. Even despite the issues, I was able to have a career as a professional fighter. But I think I've strained every ounce of energy my hands can give me. I don't think my hands can go on anymore.
Yeah. Well, he tried it. He tried bare knuckle.
That's a good point, and I think his credibility just went up.
Mm-hmm.
During the loss, even though it was a loss, his respect factor from the fans, whether they're boxing fans or MMA fans or any combative sport, they give him respect just for doing what he did. You know, and knowing that he always had problems with his hands.
Right.
That was always another negative going into the fight. How are his hands going to perform on a bare knuckle event?
Yeah.
So, props to him.
Yeah, look, the fight's over. We can pick apart everything that they tell us, and they did a lot pre-hype, including, I think, Paulie wanting to urinate in Artem's mouth or something like that. That didn't come close to happening. But that's part of the build-up, so that's why you get the backlash. All right, thank you again to At the Fights. That just happened today. And by the way, if you want to hear any more of that interview, check out the SiriusXM app, commercial-free and in HD quality. All the shows are there from Fight Nation Channel 156. So shout out to Jerry Cooney and Randy Gordon. We're gonna take a quick break, and guess what, guys? When we come back, we'll be talking to Artem Lobov. So stay close. Don't touch that dial.
All right.
All right, we're back. Much like last week, we're having struggles in reaching Artem Lobov, but I think we'll be able to hammer it out soon. So stay tuned for that. Also happening this past weekend, and we'll touch on it. Don't sweat it, guys. Is UFC Greenville, also known as UFC on ESPN this, and the Korean Zombie this, and that. But what's that noise?
Oh,
that your phone?
Sorry.
Oh, the cha-cha dance or something like that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Korean Zombie did knock out Hanato Moicano, man. That was a brutal KO. That was the main event. They lost the co-main event. We told you guys that last week when John Lineker was not able to continue, or, sorry, to fight. And so Rob Font was left without a fight. And, man, it pissed me off because I really, really wanted that co-main event. Now, that said, with Sean O'Malley not being able to perform at UFC 239, I really hope Chito Vera and Rob Font can become a fight. I sure would love to see that, but hey, I'm not the matchmaker. The Korean Zombie, though, hats off to him. Look, he took that devastating upward elbow versus.
Yeah, no. I'm sorry, I'm kind of butting in, but I wanted to comment on the Korean Zombie because I thought that was a hell of a performance for him. How about the evolution of his style? You know, the Korean Zombie, for the longest time, the reason he has a nickname is because he's a guy that comes forward no matter what, non-stop, but he's added all these new wrinkles to his game. And getting finished the way he got finished against Yair Rodriguez with that back elbow, it wasn't even a spinning back elbow, it was just kind of thrown out there. I don't want to say out of desperation because it's a technique, but it's not a very successful technique when it happens, and you're just hoping maybe you land, let alone knock out a guy. So I can understand why, like, maybe in Korean Zombie's head, that would be something that would be sticking in there. You want to get rid of that and just not have to worry about it anymore because people keep bringing it up. But he came in and acted as if that never happened, just dialed it in mentally, which is so tough to do.
I mean, it really all happened so quick that I don't know that either guy had any time to exploit, any mental warfare at all. It was like literally like, okay, begin, and then couple movements here and there, and then here comes that overhand right with a nice left hook to the temple on the way down. A follow-up may have gotten in, and I mean, Moicano was out, guys.
But he's never going to hear that again. He never has to hear that question again, because right away he came out with a performance that's going to make everyone forget about that.
And in that performance, he was beating Yair Rodriguez. He was like this close.
But nobody remembers
within
that, right?
10 seconds. That could be a 3-fight streak he's on, and with the fact that he's just so popular and everybody loves him, some Korean Zombie, this guy could really, really be, up there with some of the other guys that get talked about a possible title shot. You know what I mean? But he suffered that loss, and more than anything, he took that KO. But now it's Moicano that everybody's going to be talking about. Hey, is he okay? Aldo got him, and now Korean Zombie, clipped him. What's going to happen now? And of course, Korean Zombie will be able to get himself a nice big fight. So.
Since you've been in a lot of corners, how long does it usually take for a fighter to get rid of things mentally? Bad things that have happened in their career. A lot of people feel like it's just one win and they're back on pace, but some fighters, even after winning a couple, go back and they reference some of those tougher times. In your career, how many times have you noticed, how do you notice that process being? I know it's got to be different for every fighter.
It does.
But when does it feel like it goes away?
Yeah, a victory would probably do it, but you're right. It's that mental game. You always have that in the back of your head going into a fight, and, you don't want the second thing happen to you. So it's just, I guess every fighter's different,
Have you ever noticed, I'm gonna reference something that people may think I'm trying to be silly, but the Rocky movies, all right, but not actually more the Creed movies. Whenever you hear Rocky and he's giving Adonis Creed advice, he's usually tackling that mental side. He's telling him how to be mentally tough, right? He's got a lot of those sayings. In the UFC, there's so many fighters, and in boxing that come from different types of cultures. Have you been around that culture much, and how do you see them react? Because the other night when we were at the fights, last night we were at boxing, and we were listening to some of the trainers, and you can hear, especially the Mexican and the Puerto Rican corners are always like, they don't sugarcoat things.
Right.
They get in there and they're telling you, you need to get your head out of your ass, you need to do this, you need to do that. And sometimes it seems like with some of the more American fighters, they take this stance of like, all right, son, these are the good things you did, but you need to do that. Like, it seems like they take a while to get into their points. What have you noticed in the Asian culture, in the corners? Maybe you probably don't understand everything, but how do they come off with what they're saying?
Well, not only Asians, but just everybody, and you're talking about the Mexicans and this and that. It's just not so much the nationalities, but the experiences of a corner.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, psychology is such an important part of this game. And, like Artem's coach, at the end, he's telling them, well, you remember what he did to you, your family, and this and that. So he's throwing that in instead of showing them this technique works or that technique works, So that's the difference between having a real good corner or having guys that, you can't, as a corner guy, you can't go in there and react to of giving them emotions. Too many instructions is bad as not giving them any. Mm-hmm. Giving them the right ones at the right time and relax them. And during that 1 minute break, and that's I've been in corners like that, and I've been in corners that they're very, very good. And just like me, psychology is a big part with me working with fighters. And because I understand, these guys are modern day gladiators, but everybody is a baby deep inside, and they need somebody to coddle them, and I think I bring a lot of that value to them. But having a good coach in your corner is extremely important.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that. In MMA, your job is, you're in the red corner side, right?
Yes.
Your job is to stop the cuts. In boxing, you're more part of the team. You're there with them for months leading up to the fight. Yes. You're there for training sessions. And the trainer, I have to imagine, is the guy that comes in and he says, this is what I need you to do. This is what. But I know that, I think you've told me this before, but sometimes they've actually asked you, like, what do you think, right? I think that's happened in MMA and that's happened in boxing as well. Can you remember a time where you had to kind of step in and say, this is what I think you should do? Yeah,
well, and one of the things, I've done that before, but, me as a cut man is done through performance. But like we worked with Kazuto Ayoka in Japan Wednesday. Salas is a Cuban trainer, great Cuban trainer, and he mentioned it today when I was in the gym that Stitch would tell me one or two things during the fight, and I'll put those in there because I know what he's saying is true. Mm-hmm. And but same with the fighter, especially when they're cut, and I'm looking at them eye to eye, mano a mano. I do give them little words of encouragement. Don't worry, man, I'm gonna take care of you, and treat you just like you're my son, and get out of there. Go out there and fight. And those things mean a lot to these guys. Just to give them that confidence.
Do you feel like in the case of Paulie Malignaggi, and most bare knuckle fighters at this point, because even if you're the most experienced bare knuckle guy, you're 6 fights in, right?
Yeah.
Do you think they had to almost relearn that process of the rounds are shorter. You come back, you have to take in a lot of information. You're feeling a lot of different things, right? It's got to be harder. Like, do you feel like they almost had to relearn that process of fighting?
No, not really. Goes, more of that 1 minute break in the corner. Like say, if you have a good corner, you'll probably get good instructions. And that's why Greg Jackson, to me, to this point, been one of the greatest guys I've ever worked with, because his instructions were limited. They were cool, calm, and collected, and therefore that made that fighter, relax. Mm-hmm. And, so in those instances, it's not so much what you give them, how much you give them, but what you give it and how you give it.
Artem Lobov only had one more fight of experience than Paulie Malignaggi. How important was that one fight, the experience that came from it?
Extremely important, because, like I mentioned to George earlier, being an MMA fighter and a boxer, to cross that line into the bare knuckle fights, number one, on the mental game, it's entirely different game. But to get hit with a solid knuckle right on the skin surface, that's a different pain also. I mean, I like Jason Knight when he fought his last fight. Every time he got hit, I could literally see the cut opening. Ooh. And you don't see that too often in boxing or MMA.
And what was the controversy that had to do with the hand wraps? Were you hearing all that? That I guess it has to be 1 inch below the knuckles is the rule. But did they have too much on their wrist or what?
No,
like to the layman eye, it looks like they have like casts.
Well, you know what it is in Florida, because in Wyoming and Cancun and Mississippi, when we've been, they just basically wrap their hands with gauze and tape, right?
Support for the wrist?
Yeah, well, okay. You support the metacarpals. It's supposed to be 2 inches away from the knuckles, but you support the metacarpals, the thumb and the wrist. But in Florida, for them to have had that fight, they had it's not a glove, but it's something like a glove without all this, that you put your wraps, you gauze and tape, then you put that one, and it's a neoprene, and then you wrap it over it. To me, I thought it was no benefit. But that was for the only reason for them to have those fights. It had to be under those rules.
Did you wrap Artem?
I didn't wrap nobody. I don't wrap no one.
Okay.
Because like I tell these guys, that's a technique I'm not accustomed to, and I don't want to be liable if something happens to you.
Yeah.
So they wrap their own.
Because Paulie, I don't know if you heard, but Paulie was complaining about Artem's wrap, and so they we thought that.
I had heard something. Somebody came up. Jason Knight came up to me at ringside and asked me if I had heard anything about the wraps. You know, and but yeah, that's what they did. They looked bigger, looked more like a cast, but it was because of that neoprene that they had underneath the red tape and the blue tape.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, Channel 156. Stay close. I know we have a daily debate coming up, and we're still trying to pin down Artem Lobov, the GOAT.
We are the nation!
We got Stitch Duran here in studio with us. And Stitch, just a couple quick questions. What was the vibe in Tampa like? I mean, it seemed pretty cool watching it as a spectator at home, but what was it like there at the Florida State Fairgrounds?
It was high energy, no doubt about it, and the arena was probably 90% full when we got there to the first fight.
Yeah.
So, they came to watch fights, man, and I just see that this is the new sport, and it's going to grow bigger and bigger and better, and this show really kind of took them to a different level.
Mm-hmm. And what about the other fights? You mentioned Julian Lane had had a couple injuries as well, but he powered through that.
Yeah, he did. You know, and that's the thing about it. These guys are warriors, George. You know, and but every fight was quite entertaining.
A lot of MMA fighters were on the card. Joey Beltran, Joe Riggs. Yeah. I mean, I love it. You kind of blending the two. A little bit of boxing, a little bit of the couple street fighters, a couple bare knucklers, and
Chris Lieben. You know, he was in it, and so it's the new age of sports.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
is it? What's attracted you the most? What is bare knuckle bring that the other sports don't bring that you find like fascinating?
Cuts.
Okay.
No, you know, I always tell it's a job security, bro. No, but I always tell people there's three things that fans want to see.
Yeah.
They want to see action, they want to see blood, and they want to see knockouts. And bare knuckle fighting offers all three of them, literally. You know, guaranteed, one way or the other.
Yeah.
So
okay.
There was a couple guys that got knocked out, and you know the doctors are fairly new when it comes to this, and I'm working on them. And of course, like I ask a lot of guys, you know, who am I? You're Stitch. You know, doctors start laughing, but they know at that point with that reaction that they're okay.
Right.
You know, so that's a value I bring to the doctors. And as a matter of fact, one of the doctors said, you know this game a little bit better than me. You know, because we have a 30-second rule where if there's a lot of blood, they'll call timeout during the fight, bring them to me. I got 30 seconds to clean them up, assess the cuts, and the doctor will determine whether they could continue or not. And the doctor asked me to help make that decision, and of course I would. You know, so I know whether they're.
But you're a pro fighter. Usually, you're going to side with letting that fight go, right?
No, it depends. You know, I mean, I'm there for the safety of the fighter. You know, and I know there was one girl. I think a Brit the fights before where she got a real deep cut right underneath that eye, and you can see the fat tissue coming out. And Dan Mergliotti says, "Stitch, you got 30 seconds." I said, "I don't need them. You know, I'm not going to let her go out there."
Right.
And sure enough, you know, I said, you know, she of course wanted that one more round. I said, nah, when you go look in the mirror, you're going to thank me. You know, because then it becomes a safety factor.
Yeah.
And that's the reason, the only reason that I came when I did the first one was to see the safety factor, how they're going to take care of the fighters. And they do, you know, everything they can to take care of the fighters.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, it was a big weekend across all of the different platforms of combat sports. Goes and I took in some boxing. There was 2 MMA events, and there was bare knuckle. And today's Daily Debate actually has to tie in all of them. So without further ado, let's hit the Daily Debate.
The brothers Garcia seemingly can't agree on anything.
Everybody knows it's duck season.
Rabbit season.
Duck season.
Rabbit season.
Whether it's food,
Less filling.
Tastes great.
Less filling.
Tastes great.
gambling,
Always bet on black.
I like red.
Black.
Red.
Black.
Red.
Black, dummy.
or even social media,
Instagram.
Snapchat.
Instagram.
Snapchat.
the same applies to the biggest stories in MMA. Time for MMA Junkie Radio's Daily Debate.
Today's Daily Debate for the MMA Junkie Radio team and boxing, bare knuckle, and MMA legendary cutman Stitch Duran. What was the biggest surprise from this past weekend's events? Now, over in Bellator in London, Gegard Mousasi got upset by Rafael Lovato Jr., so he's the new middleweight champion. Of course, I mentioned the Korean Zombie knocking out Hanato Moicano in the UFC. And then, of course, Artem Lobov, that was technically an upset over Paulie Malignaggi because the odds had Paulie Malignaggi as the favorite. So, lots to choose from. And, of course, you can also throw in other because, Goes, you and I had the benefit of seeing some boxing, or if anybody saw an alley fight, feel free to mention that. But how about you, Goes? Which was the biggest surprise?
For me, it's got to be Lovato. It's not that it's a huge surprise. It's just I think a lot of people are going to say that the Paulie Malignaggi-Artem Lobov fight would be that. But the thing is, for Paulie Malignaggi, it's a different sport. He's a fantastic boxer, a great boxer. But he's going into a completely different sport. To see somebody do something that they've never done before and fail shouldn't be that surprising. You know, we all felt like he was going to be able to win the fight, but it's a different sport.
Mm-hmm.
How long has Gegard Mousasi been fighting at a high level? For Lovato Jr. to just come in and do something like that, that was more impressive for me.
Lovato is undefeated, though. He's no bum.
Still, man, that's Gegard Mousasi.
I know. How about you, Stitch? When you heard the results and, of course, knowing what you saw in front of you, what was your biggest surprise?
Well, I agree with Goals there. I haven't seen the fight yet. I will look at it when I get home. But Mousasi, I mean, everything you said I agree with, you know, and not to take nothing away from Lovato because I've worked many of his fights. He's a tough nail, but Mousasi would just round it off all the way around until this fight.
I'm going to go with Moicano and Jung, man. The Korean Zombie, since 2013, he's only had 3 fights, and it's been like one per year, 16, 17, and 18. So he hasn't even been active. He lost 1, won 2, but I'll give him the 3-fight win streak because he was on his way to beating Yair. But in that fight, he took that devastating KO. So I just thought, wow, like you're going up against the monster like Renato Moicano, who's just a bigger dude than you are. You're coming off a horrible KO. And more than anything, what surprised me was how quick it happened. I knew that in bare knuckle, things could level out because Paulie hadn't fought in 2 years. He's 38. And, Artem's built for that. And then I also knew that Lovato Jr., I mean, that was a huge upset as well. But I thought, wow, he's not undefeated for out of luck. You know what I mean? So, and champions have a certain run. At any time, they things can come tumbling down. But I think just how fast it happened. I mean, he iced Moicano like that.
Mm-hmm. But that was didn't you feel like that was his only shot though? Was landing a shot like that? I didn't think he was gonna.
I guess because it happened so quick.
Like
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought maybe the fight would play out a little bit. I mean, he literally went out there and he was having dinner 10 minutes later, at the hotel lobby. So congrats to him. But great fights all weekend. The voting came out to pretty much a 2-horse race between Lovato and Lovato Jr. and Musasi at 41%, Lobov and Malianaji at 40%, Zhang and Moicano at 17%. Other came in at 2%. There you go. There's the daily debate brought to you by the MMA Junkie radio team and Stitch Duran. All right. Thank you, Goose. Goes is now going to go behind the scenes a little bit.
Take care of Richard there, huh?
Yeah. Well, he's going to go watch Dana White Contender Series tomorrow. So Richard's going to be my man tomorrow, and he's going to be handling that side of things. All right, Stitch. So what do you got coming up next, by the way?
Well, next Wednesday, actually I have a show July 6th in Hamburg, Germany. I'll leave on the 3rd. Come back on the 7th, which is my wife Charlotte's birthday. So I have that coming.
Hamburg, Germany. What, the Klitschko's back?
No. I ran into this German promoter. I did a show here about a month ago, and he asked me how much I would charge to go to Germany and work with one of his fighters, and I gave him my fees, and I'm going up there. I don't even know who I'm working with.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Those are some of the fun trips.
Hamburg, Germany. I've been to everywhere in Germany but Hamburg. Well, no. I didn't make it to Munich, which is the biggest city.
Yeah,
I think.
Of course. Munich,
but I've been to what was it called? Overstreet?
Oberhausen.
Something like that. Yeah. I've been to Stuttgart. I've been to Gelsenkirchen. I've been to Kaiserslautern. Yeah. I've been to Frankfurt, Berlin. Yeah. So like I say, I wasn't Leipzig was the other one.
Yeah.
Leipzig, which used to be East Germany at one point. So we've been to quite a few. Cologne.
Yeah.
But never made it to Munich. I got sick towards the end of that trip. And then Hamburg was really, really up north. But, man, what a beautiful country, huh?
No, I love it. I would say Japan and Germany, I love going there because business-wise, they're the two countries that really are right on it when it comes to business. If they say we're picking you up at 12 o'clock, it's 12 o'clock. And somebody like me that does so many shows, when they say 12 o'clock, I know that they're going to pick me up at 12 o'clock. So I have on the 6th, I have Hamburg. Then I have FFC on the 13th. Ugas, the Cuban fighter, is fighting on the 20th here in Vegas. And then so on and so on.
Where's the Vegas fight?
I don't know.
On the 20th.
On the 20th.
That's the Pacquiao card.
That's a Pacquiao card, yeah.
Pacquiao's fighting Keith Thurman. That's at MGM.
MGM, yeah. I just show up. Mm-hmm. I'll get that information as I go. So, so I'm staying busy.
Did you happen to catch the Jermell Charlo knockout?
I did last night. I turned it out, and oh, my God. He just walked up to him, and ba-bum, and he's down.
And Rigondeaux, the Cuban fighter who lost to Lomachenko about 18 months ago, he was in a tough one. In fact, unofficial PBC scorekeeper Marcos Villegas, good friend of the show, he had a 58-56. I believe as that round was starting, and Rigondeaux got the knockdown, but I thought Koha, I think it was his name. When he got up, he seemed just as alert as the guy that got knocked out by Charlo. So different referees, I get it, but still, all of a sudden they just waved it off. And he was standing on 2 feet. He got up fairly quickly, and I would have wanted to see, because it was towards the end of the round, just what might happen in that 1 minute if he could clear the cobwebs. The scores kind of evening out, but the draw was 40-1, which was what I was interested in.
Wow. And
so $10 pays $400. And I thought, wow, because Rigondeaux, these guys were just basically putting their foreheads together and just swinging at the body and going back and forth. But it was a fun night of fights at the Mandalay Bay.
Yeah, and that's the only one I saw, just the Charlo fight. So
his twin fights this weekend.
No.
Yes, Energy Arena. Energy, that sounds like Houston, Texas. You're from Texas, right? Is that Energy, Richard? NRG or something?
I don't know if that's what it's called, but I believe they are fighting in Houston because I saw that posted.
Okay, so that's where the Twin Brothers fighting.
Yeah, and that's where they train out of, I think.
Is it?
I think so, with Ronnie Shields. And I know Ronnie has his camp in Houston, so it's a hometown advantage. So that's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, boxing is, I don't want to say on the comeback because I never felt it went away. It just hills and valleys. You know what I mean? But, God, a lot of great fighters are fighting. And every time you turn around, like all these heavyweights that have been fighting, and now, like we mentioned, Pacquiao and Thurman to look forward to, Canelo staying active. Triple G just got a win. The list goes on and on. Terrence, Crawford and Errol Spence, hopefully they can match up as well.
Well, I think Terrence Crawford is fine. I just found out today, who's he fighting? He's fighting somebody else, but it's not going to be
not Errol Spence.
Errol Spence.
They're building up to that. All right. So it's the top of the hour break. Stay close. We'll be right back. UFC heavyweight, former or current, I don't know. We'll figure that out. Justin Willis will be stopping by. And don't forget, in about 30 minutes, the UFC heavyweight champion, Daniel Cormier, will stop by. Okay, I do want to go through a couple quick things here. This is just a little bit of a roundup of the MMA fight cards that took place this past weekend. So we had Bellator London, which was a fiasco when you factor in that it was branded as two different cards. And first they started off on Junkie, then you had to go to an app, then you had to wait for a tape delay. And I saw people in an uproar on Twitter. I basically stayed away until the end when I just was going to watch it all on tape delay because I had my hands full between bare knuckle and UFC. But I could see people having meltdowns. But in essence, what happened, Rafael Lovato in the main event of Bellator London defeated Gegard Mousasi. He got two scores of 48-47 and then one 47-47. So that's how he got the title. Melvin Manhoff back in the win column, as is Aaron Chalmers. Now on the Bellator 223 card, again, same arena, just different branding there, different channels. It's so confusing. Paul Daly defeated Eric Silva, two very popular names in the sport of mixed martial arts. James Gallagher came back from some anxiety attacks he was having pre-fight. He got a win. Denise Kilholtz got a win. Charlie Ward got a win. Fabian Edwards got a win. Kate Jackson got a win. So there you have it. They filled the talent with, the fight card with a lot of local talent that you just wouldn't know who the names are, even if I sat here and named them all. I mean, they had like literally 20 fights out there in London, but you saw what happened there with the results that I just gave. So congratulations mostly to Lovato Jr., man. He's now a world champion and undefeated. I'm telling you, it was kind of a little bit of a headache trying to figure out where to place him there in our USA Today Sports and MMA Junkie rankings, which you'll see in the newspaper on Wednesday, and you'll see a rankings report, I believe, tomorrow. So you'll see a little bit of movement for Lovato Jr. Now, in the fight card in Greenville, South Carolina, Chan Sung Jung defeated Renato Moicano. That was the main event. Randy Brown took out Brian Barberina. Andre Ewell defeated Anderson Dos Santos. Andrea Lee defeated Montana De La Rosa. And Kevin Holland, a.k.a. Big Mouth, he defeated Alessio Di Ciccio. The last two there were decisions. And I think Andrea Lee was really, really going for it at the end. So keep an eye on her because that flyweight division needs contenders for Valentina Shevchenko. And now I believe she's 3-0 in the UFC. She's 11-2 overall. And like I say, she really, really looked good, not just on the feet, but on the ground as well. So you can tell she's definitely made progress. And to come back from everything she's gone through, that's the young lady who had a former, I guess, husband/partner who had a swastika revealed on his tattoo revealed that he claims was from a long time ago, and then some alleged domestic issues. The man was on the run, and finally they were able to recently apprehend him. So all that, she had to move away, and she's got a kid, and so to do all that through a camp, I mean, she really, really went through a lot. You know what I mean? Dan Ige from the Extreme Couture team got a win over Kevin Aguilar. Kevin Aguilar's tough, man. Like 14-1 going into this fight card, and he's one of those harder hitters, man, at featherweight. But Dan Ige was actually able to outstrike him at times and really, really put it on him, especially in the third. So congrats to him. Remember, Ige and Puna Soriano were here in studio last week, and you could tell they had some nerves going in, but now Soriano's a member of the UFC, and Ige's now 4-1 as a UFC featherweight, and it looks like he wants to mix it up with Thug Nasty Bryce Mitchell at some point. Thug Nasty already telling him that he will gladly oblige. Ashley Yoder got a win over Sayuri Kondo. Luis Pena got a really, really impressive win over Matt Wyman, but I was also impressed with Matt Wyman for having not fought for 5 years. This guy was game, man. He was going after Luis Pena in so many ways. It's just, it's pretty tough because Luis Pena is just his frame, man. He's a really, really big guy, long, strong, wiry, and, you know, Wyman took a lot of punishment there, especially when he was going for some leg locks. But still, Wyman showed a lot of heart. I wish he would have fought these last 5 years because I think he could have got himself some nice wins, and the fans were going nuts for him. Jairzinho Rosenstruck defeated Alan Crowder. 9 seconds is all it took in the first round.
Wow.
And if you'll recall, I think the record in the heavyweight division is Todd Duffy when he beat, I think it was Chris Tuchscherer. Do you remember those? In Portland, was it? Yeah. It was in UFC 101 or 102 in Portland. He beat him in 7 seconds. Now, the record for all divisions is, I believe, Dwayne Bang Ludwig. He holds the record at 6 seconds. But this guy got it done in 9 seconds. Ronda Rousey defeated Kat Zingano in 14 seconds. Conor McGregor beat Jose Aldo in 14 seconds. So a lot can happen in an MMA fight within 14 seconds. I just ran off 5 of them off the top of my head, but congratulations to him. Molly McCann defeated Ariane Lipsky, and Duran Wynn and Eric Spicey. They went at it for 15 minutes. In fact, they got themselves a $50,000 bonus that they shared. Duran Wynn got that W there. The performances of the night went to Chan Sung Jung and Jairzinho Rosenstruck. $50,000 bonuses to both of them. 7,600 in attendance in Greenville, South Carolina. Total gate $567,930 and 80 cents. Too bad Wonder Boy Stephen Thompson wasn't there. He would have been a nice guy to headline that card. Him, you know, he's from South Carolina. So anyway, now Stitch, I guess. And by the way, 11,768 in the SSE Arena in London. Boy, London they love themselves athletics,
combat. Yeah,
right?
Combat,
yeah. I mean, I watch a lot of soccer there, and those stadiums are always full. But you were in Wembley about a year and a half ago, and that was about 90,000.
90,000, yep.
And 11,768 for, no disrespect, but a card that's really not the top talent that Bellator has. I mean, they had a champion, so that was huge, but no matter where they go, whether they go to Newcastle or Liverpool or London, they just love themselves a good scrap.
Oh, yeah, and you're talking about 11,000 Brits, man. That's like 30,000 somewhere else. You know, these fans, they come and they understand their game, and they let everybody hear it and know it. You know, so it's always good. The energy level when you go to England or even Ireland, it's a different platform because these guys stay loud and stay busy, and they know their fighters.
Yeah,
so
for sure, man. It looks like a really, really cool environment.
It is fun.
Hopefully it's a safe environment too, right? Or does it get...
I've never had no problems. And, you know, that's good. You never see, because, you know, sometimes you'll do fights and you'll hear a ruckus up in the audience, and you'll see there's people fighting up in the stands. I don't think I've ever experienced that in any one of these countries. Yeah, so, but yeah, it's
What's a scary situation you've been in?
I haven't. I've been pretty fortunate. No, nothing.
Really?
In combat sports, no.
Wow. All right. Knock on wood, right?
I've been pretty fortunate, yeah.
Yeah, all right. We also have Richard Hunter here from the Phone Booth Fighting Podcast, and so he and I will be doing the show tomorrow so that Ghost can go to Dana White Contender Series. So, again, Richard, thanks for offering to do that.
Yeah.
That's tremendous. I know you've been to the Dana White Contender Series, so I thought for sure you'd be a slam dunk at a few of those, but apparently you've seen enough and you're good for now, or at least until we get our act together over here.
And I was temporarily barred as well, so the timing all worked out.
Is that for real?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, and I was going to ask if Ghost would invite me. I think I'd be invited in.
It's open to the public now, technically.
Is it?
On a technicality, yeah. I'm sure Ghost could invite you, but yeah.
What do you think, Richard?
I think he should.
Yeah,
absolutely. We'll have a little mix and match wife swap going on for the hosting the show and the Contender Series.
Yeah.
Careful there with the wife swap.
Hey, it's 2019, right? Let's get progressive.
Yeah. So that's going down tomorrow. I haven't even looked to see if everyone made weight and all that stuff. Did you happen to take a look, or?
Yeah, I think.
Do we have 5 fights tomorrow?
Let's see. I'll double check, but I believe everybody did. It looked like it went off without incident.
All right. Well, here comes Justin Willis. I feel like we're about to get jumped or something. He's coming in with a crew. So we'll talk to him for a couple minutes and see what the latest is. He just drove in.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
From the East Bay or wherever he's at. Come on in, Justin.
Let's have him sit here, huh?
Yeah, no, he's fine right there. He can sit on the other one, yeah.
All right.
Come on in, Big Pretty.
What's up, man? How you doing? All right, good seeing you.
How you doing?
What's up, boss?
All right, have a seat.
What's up?
All right, so this is Justin Willis, Big Pretty. I love the T-shirt, by the way. And he literally just drove in from the Bay Area. Where exactly do you live, Justin? Morgan Hill. Now, tell me where that is. Is that closer to San Francisco, closer to Sacramento, Oakland, or what?
It's a little south of San Jose.
Yeah.
About 10 miles south.
And you literally just drove here, right?
Yeah.
How long was the drive?
7 hours.
7 hours.
You must have been driving fast, because normally it takes me about 8, bro.
Hey, man, we pulling up, baby.
Yeah.
Time to get it.
Yeah.
And, of course, you're looking good. Dropped a lot of weight since the last time we saw you. We kind of talked about this on the phone, but now I get to see it.
Yeah, it's time, baby.
Yeah. All right, and how long are you in town for?
Till Wednesday, probably.
And you got some business to sort out, right?
Oh, yeah. I just want to say hi to people. That's it.
Yeah. Has there been progress?
Sounds a little bit more than hi, huh?
That's it, man.
Has there been progress in that department, or is this trip going to be the actual progress?
Oh, man, I just got to talk to people face to face. I just feel like it's always best that way, man. Because there's no rhyme or reason, man. I'm a dude where I'm young. It's time to improve. That's all I said, man. I humbled myself after the last fight. The results were the results, and I just got better. You ask my teammates, everybody around me, they know what the deal is.
Let me have you raise your mic just a little bit.
Oh,
there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Dana White Contender Series is every Tuesday, and he's always there with the 2 matchmakers, so you'll have your opportunity. Have you scheduled anything, or is this kind of like a drive-by?
It's a pull-up. Say hi.
It's a pull-up?
Give me a little bit of the scoop, man. I've been out of the picture.
Okay. You want to hear it through what I thought I heard, or you want to just hear it straight from me?
I want to hear what you thought. I want to hear what you thought.
I go on MMA Junkie, and I see that Justin has been cut. But right away, one of our writers, Stephen Morocco, the magnificent Morocco, catches up with Justin, and Justin refutes that, says there's been a misunderstanding. We wait a few weeks just to let the waters soothe themselves. Also, Elias with the long hair, he got cut as well, and a few others. So what looked to be maybe like a group of fighters that may have gotten cut, a couple of them stood out, and one of them was Elias because he's 8-3 in the UFC, which isn't a bad record. I mean, this is the UFC for crying out loud. Justin's 4-1 in the UFC, and both of them still have their youth, so it's not like you can say, hey, man, he's 45 or nothing like that. You know what I mean? It just didn't make sense. But Dana White kind of like lumped them all together, and he said that, hey, look, we cut fighters for different reasons to make room for other fighters, and sometimes along the way we also determined that some fighters just maybe aren't going to be champions, and we have to do that. Now I believe that was more towards Elias, because Elias has had 11 fights in the UFC, so you have a sample size where you can, if you really wanted to apply that logic, you could go, man, after 11 fights. He's coming up short on a little bit of on the fights where he's fighting the ranked fighters, and he's beating the other guys. I guess if you want to apply that logic, you can go, I see what you're saying, but see, they've kept those type of fighters in the past.
Right, of course.
Now, could he be making too much? Is he difficult to deal with behind the scenes? I don't know, because he's been having a little bit of a slight USADA beef, over 24/7 use of, marijuana usage is what he wants, and under the new USADA laws, you have to be free of that at least 36 hours before competition. So it's not like it was before. We had to cut it off like a month before, but still, even though it's lax in my eyes, he's stating that for medical reasons he needs it at all times. Yeah. So anyway, that's him. When it comes to Big Pretty, then we start finding out that Justin had turned down a fight. Right? Yeah. They wanted him to fight Walt Harris sometime in July. He said, look, I'll do it in August. And Justin, I believe, said, if it was one of these other names where I'm looking upward and not backwards, then I might make that sacrifice. But he's coming off a loss. He's taking it on the chin like a man. He's saying, hey, somebody served me up. It was Curtis Blades. He beat me, and I want to address this. I want to get better. I also want to go to camp with Daniel Cormier. That's his teammate.
That's what we've been doing, man.
You know what I mean?
Hard, baby.
And this just happened, in March?
Yeah.
So it's not like you can go, bro, you've been sitting on the sidelines for 18 months. It's only been like 3.
Yeah.
And he's addressing the loss. And look, he's lost like 25 pounds.
Yeah, man, it's crazy, man.
So I see what he's talking about. This doesn't seem right. You know what I mean? So something must have happened on a phone call or a text. And I don't know. It reminds me of when John Fitch, you're an AKA guy, ask around about John Fitch and Kane. They got cut for 24, 48 hours as well. Yeah. They had a little bit of a beef, then it got smoothed over. This has been a little longer than that.
Now, you didn't tell Dana you and I were friends, did you?
No, I didn't.
That could have been reason number one, bro.
Man, I'm just going to pull up on him, man. I'm just going to get up to him.
Show me.
Talk to him, what's up, man, because this is ridiculous,
Yeah.
All right, but serious, Big Pretty. Aside from the misunderstanding, I hear fighters turn down fights all the time.
Yeah.
Was there like a slip of an F-bomb or a mama joke or something that just didn't go over well?
No, not at all.
Like a fart in church, something that just...
No, it was literally like I said, Walt Harris, I don't care what name you give me. Like, if you look at my career, I've never turned down a fight, not at one time. That's just the truth of the matter. But after you come off an L, you want to address some things. And I want to address some things with my team, my coaches, my new nutritionist. I want to get better. And that's what I've done. And that's what I've did. We're on track now. So everything that I told the UFC that I was going to do, I've done.
Right. And that was it.
That was it.
So, well, then we're just going to have to go separate ways.
It's just me. I got to keep it real. A lot of people don't keep it real. I stand for a lot of things that I feel like the UFC, whatever, they're not in agreement with. So, but I feel like you can't punish me for that. You let me fight, because when you say somebody's not championship material, but you don't give them a chance for redemption, that's ludicrous.
Yeah. Man, like I say, standing from the outside, I hate to say this, it looks like there's more to it.
Yeah, man.
And if you don't want to reveal it, I get that.
Yeah.
But just a 4-1 UFC heavyweight,
man,
who is actually really fun to watch, who's just coming off a big win against Mark Hunt. There's a lot of buzz around you.
You said if I don't want to tell you, man, you tell me. I don't know. Like a secret.
It just doesn't seem like a fighter gets cut over that. I can't even go, oh, that's just Justin Willis. He's, I'm using air quotes here, difficult. No, I've seen a lot of fighters go, no, I can't do it then.
Yeah.
And then they go, okay, and they go to the next guy.
Yeah, man.
So I don't understand why
they're trying to compare me with Yair Rodriguez. Yair Rodriguez was out for a year and a half, man. And he ducked a few people. No offense to Yair. This is just the truth of the matter. It was just one name. And the name could have been anybody. I just said 1 month later so that I can actually get my weight, my condition, everything under control, which I've done.
Right. Well, I mean, you're here in Vegas, and I think that's a huge step.
Yeah, man.
And you're going to go and face the music and shake some hands.
There is no music. I just want to know what's up. Tell me in my face.
So let's look at worst case scenario. They say no mas. What's your next step?
Anybody. I mean, it's one of those things where
Scott Coker will call you.
Anybody,
call you.
Exactly. So
so you'll get work.
Yeah, I'll get work no matter what.
Right.
It's just one of those things where now we go to a guy like Tai Vesa, that's coming off 2 losses in a row, and just one of those things where this will be a perfect fight for me and him to fight. Actually, I don't know if we can even fight for a contract. I kind of set it up to. It's one of those things where it just makes sense. He's 0-2. I know he has a big country behind him, but man, let's get it, man. I got more personality. I'm more original. I'm prettier. It is what it is.
Yeah, so Tai Tuivasa, big Australian heavyweight, very, very popular. He's the guy that drinks out of the shoe. I don't know if you've seen that little thing going on. Okay, well, anyway, These guys have been beefing big time. But it's pretty funny. They're taking it to social media. And they're even taking it a step further. And I think this guy, I want to get Big Pretty's reaction to this, but you guys are going to have to hold on to that. We're going to go to a quick break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 156. Wait till you hear this when we come back about what Tai Tuivasa has recently said towards my man here, Justin Willis. Stay close. We'll be right back.
What's up, Justin?
What's up, brother? Nice to meet you, brother.
Yes, sir.
It's an honor to meet you.
Fantasy Sports Radio features the top experts helping you win, plus celebrities who love fantasy sports as much as you do, including the world-famous Lisa Ann. Hear her talking about the NBA draft and free agency, plus all the live action in Major League Baseball tonight on Lisa Ann Does Fantasy, beginning at 10 Eastern, Series 210, XM87, and streaming on your phone and at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. Again, a quick re-intro of our panel here. We have Stitch Duran, boxing and MMA, and bare knuckle. Legendary Cutman co-hosting with us. Big Pretty, Justin Willis, one of the top heavyweights in the world. Boy, I don't even want to say it. I still want to say UFC heavyweight because I feel like in 24 hours it'll all be sorted out. But I guess technically that's something you have to work on here in the next 24 hours to sort that out.
We'll get it done. Yeah, man.
Feeling confident?
Pull up. I pull up. Man.
Is one of the Kawa brothers coming in with you, or are you going to solo?
Nah, man. I've been talking, man. I like to talk. I like to speak. Because then you actually see what a person his heart has to say.
Are they aware you're coming?
Some of them are.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Now more of them are. I want to go with you. All right. So before the commercial, you and Tai we've also been going back and forth.
Yeah.
He recently did an interview, and this was on Submission Radio.
He was shook in that radio.
He was saying, this is a quote about some. I guess he's been sending you some messages that you've yet to open up. But he says $100,000, kind of like a street fight. You bring your money and no cameras, and he'll bring a bag of money as well. And so you've heard this already.
He's clout chasing.
Uh-huh.
And he gotta understand when he fight me, I'm a clout snatch. That's something. I'm gonna break his jaw. It's one of those things where it's all lies. The guy at first was talking about he would fight me for free. Now he's talking about he want to fight me for money. Why not fight me in the UFC cage for money? All he has to do is agree, and I can embarrass him with cameras. That's what he's really afraid of. He's afraid to get his ass whipped where everybody can see it.
Mm-hmm. Now, so you have not received any direct messages?
No, man. I put it on my Instagram already. Where those blank messages, I've never seen any type of messages of sort. He's just saying that to deflect.
Okay.
He's deflecting.
So there's no Twitter, Facebook, social, or Instagram direct messages from him at all.
No, man.
He was saying actually that you haven't even read them. Like it almost seemed like it was upsetting him, but that you hadn't even like looked at them.
Hey, look, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna go with y'all. Okay, look, we're gonna go here. We're gonna go. Y'all got internet in here?
Maybe he posted to the wrong guy.
Yeah, that would be a great fighter nickname, by the way, that Justin just mentioned. The clout snatcher.
Yeah, you feel me? That's what I am. I have to be that because it's a clout snatcher. Because I see what these guys before he was yelling my name, Justin. I did not take a fight. 1/3 of the reason why I did not take a fight was to fight this guy after his fight. I was quiet out of respect for Blagoy. Blagoy's my teammate, and they just fought. He lost to Blagoy. I did not speak at all out of respect to Blagoy. That's it. That's all. I waited till that fight was over. As soon as that fight was over, it made sense for us to fight. He's coming off a loss. I'm coming off a loss. Mm-hmm. Let us fight.
And then determine who stays.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, pretty simple.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
So I think that's another thing that's obviously going to be part of your chat tomorrow with Dana. Hey, you got to fight in the making here.
Look. Boom. Okay, we'll go here. We'll go messages, send message. That shit blank.
That's him?
That's him.
It is blank.
Yeah, it's blank, man. He a liar. Everything is the clout chase. That's it. He's clout chasing. He doesn't know he ran into the master troll. That's what he ran into, the master troll. I am in his mofo head. He is in my web. And now he has to fight me.
Okay.
He knows it. The fans know it. Everybody knows it. He's trying to run. He's trying to deflect. I know him.
Just to be clear, though, you wouldn't do the $100,000 street fight.
I want cameras.
Okay.
That's a public execution. Mm-hmm. That's how I want off with his head.
So is he still with the UFC?
He is after two in a row.
And why? Yeah, question is why.
You feel what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, you got a legitimate case.
He sleeps in the bed with boys and put pictures on Instagram and stuff.
Yeah.
No, it's no homosexual stuff. I'm just saying he got a picture with 3 boys in the bed, and the UFC took the picture.
Just to be clear, those are grown men in the bed. That sounds awful saying it that way.
That's terrible. Still, that's terrible.
What happens if you guys just bump into each other in the public? Like, is it gonna go down,
or would do nothing because
will you restrain yourself?
If it's outside of the cage and he puts his hands on me, I'll kill him.
Okay, but you have the restraint of a professional to say, no, man, we're not doing it here, but we'll fight in a cage somewhere.
If he puts his hands on me or come at me crazy, I'll kill him. That's my right.
Yeah, you'll beat him up.
Nah, I'll kill him.
Isn't that a bit much? Just an announcement is good enough, right?
That's a warning, right?
George is trying to clear it up a little bit.
I don't want to get a subpoena or something goes down.
Yeah, I heard it first.
It's self-defense. It's self-defense. And he's a fighter. I'm a fighter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Man, I'm telling you, this fight has a lot of heat, and the UFC's got a golden fight right here.
And it's full advertisement.
If they book it, if it shows up on Junkie that it's booked for Anaheim or Australia or whatever, I'm telling you, we'll get a lot of traffic because it's been built up. Both guys have been going back and forth on social media. They are not fans of each other. They're doing a lot of interviews, but I guess first things first, Justin Willis has to,
he's
talk to the big man over here.
They're protecting him, man. I think a lot of this was to protect him. Like all that stuff that he does, everything he stands for comes from where I come from. The West Coast, he throws up West Side. Come on, man, California knows how to fight. They appropriate our culture. That's exactly what it is, man. They want a person like that that's fake. The real thing is in front of you and they know it. It is what it is, baby.
So do you think it could be because you said he's a big star in Australia? Do you think it'd be because he sells more tickets than Justin?
I mean, at this point, he has more clout.
Yeah,
he has more following. And that's just that's reality.
Yeah.
But I need to fight guys like this so I can live up to my nickname, the Clout Snatcher. You
like it, Richard?
You feel me?
Love it.
Yeah. I certainly hope this goes down. All right,
Yeah, man.
We got to take another break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, channel 156. When we come back, we'll be talking to Daniel Cormier, Justin's teammate from the famous AKA gym in San Jose. So don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. And a swing and a miss. Daniel Cormier has not answered the phone yet, but I'm confident we will get him because I was texting with him throughout the afternoon, and I think we'll be good to go here. But his teammate Justin Willis is here in studio. How much time have you been having to train with Daniel Cormier? How's he looking for this fight?
He's looking awesome, man. It's just an honor. It's a pleasure, to be able. We never, in the last few fights, we haven't really aligned our schedules. Now he's, getting to his point in his career where he gets ready his camp time, and he's doing other stuff. But now he's learning, he's evolving. So we're at a different point. So usually when I'm getting ready for fights, I don't get a chance to really train with him that much. But this is a great this is a great opportunity, and this is another reason why I told them that I needed an extra month off so that I get a chance to actually train and help train, and him help me train me for my next camp. That was a part of the mission.
Okay, so some work has been. You guys are already.
Oh man, it's beautiful. It is beautiful because we push each other to the max. Mm-hmm. That's what you need.
What have you learned from Daniel Cormier? Like one thing that stands out.
Work hard. Work hard. It's one of those things. Is work hard. So and I appreciate him as a teammate, and I've learned a lot. Because it's just crazy getting to this point now in my career, and you got to look back and you got to say these are the people who helped. So that's why it's really important. It was really important for me while he's still in this sport to get a chance to have an actual camp with him again after like 3 years.
I've heard some AK stories. These are all public. Daniel talked about his first MMA practice. It was so bad he was throwing up.
Yes.
It was horrible. Luke Rockhold told us that one of his first major scuffles in the gym was with Daniel Cormier.
Yeah.
And now they're really, really tight.
Yeah.
Do you have any stories like that of the early years?
My first day AKA over at AKA Hillsdale, my very first day, I got knocked out twice.
God damn.
It was different back then. Now at AKA, back in AKA, it was just more of a lion's den. Just every single day we were just going at each other's heads, and I learned a lot. It was an honor to go through the evolution where I am now with AKA.
So did you think when you get knocked out, nobody gets knocked out twice in one day? What were your thoughts after that? Should I stay in the game? Should I continue?
100%. And that day, I think everybody knew I was a fighter.
Yeah,
they knew what I had in me.
Now, after the first knockout, nobody said, "Hey, man, sit out the rest of practice."
It was different back then.
Oh, was it?
We didn't know things back then. This is the thing. Like, and plus, we a lot of pride. It's your first day there. You don't want to be, the guy knocked out. That was the first day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe the third day, but not the first day, definitely.
Wow, that's brutal, man.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
How long ago was your first practice, by the way? How many years have you been?
2012.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's quite a long time. Sorry, Steph.
No, let's go behind the scenes now. In the shower, you're at home, you're thinking, you're saying what? Damn, I got knocked out twice.
Yeah, like, do I really? That first day was like, man, I'm not going back. There's no way I'm going back. And then that morning, we start practice at 12. That next morning is like wrestling, and you're like, I gotta go back, And yeah, I'm here today. And I'm so thankful.
Mm-hmm. What has Daniel been able to help you out? Because you said that you learned a lot from the Curtis Blades fight that you wanted to work on with Daniel. So
I'll tell
how
people,
are those wrestling rounds been?
I'll tell people, straight up. I think what happened was, I use no excuses. But if you look at even the fight I won against Mark Hunt, I was on my back foot a lot. And I don't think I'm not necessarily that type of fighter. I'm a person where, I need to be going forward a lot more. I'm a bowling ball, so, going with DC, I'm able to bang, 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 bang the whole time. He's able to push the pace. And that's what's been the great honor to be able to go with him. Somebody who's just going to push me, and I'm just going to push them to the ultimate limit.
What about Cain Velasquez? Has he been around?
Right now, he's doing his thing, but yeah, he does come around every once in a while. Right now,
yeah. You ever get rounds with him?
Yeah, when he's around, I do. We got young guys. We got we got Suitcase Kid over here. A young guy. We got a guy named James Lawson. We got a young heavyweight that's coming up. So we got guys who are actually being able to give me what I need, and I'm able to give them what they need.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm glad though that you guys have toned it down, because I remember AKA was very proud of the fact that they sparred hard 3 times a week.
We still spar hard.
Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I think at 10 a.m. was what they used to say. If you want to see us fight, Koscheck, Swick, and Fitch.
Yeah.
They'd always say, if you want to see a fight, come watch us. These are our sparring days.
We still go at it like that, but now it's just, you got to be, 2 days. You got to listen to your body.
Right.
That's just the thing. You got to listen to your body, and now.
Plus, you don't want to spill brain cells in practice room, right?
Hey, man, we got it. If he dies, he dies. No, I'm just fucking around. But no, we really have to push ourselves to the limit. This sport is one of those ones where, how deep can you go?
Yeah, because at that point you got to know when to cross it.
Exactly.
Right? You know, you got to be there to know that you can cross it.
Exactly. You know, and that's just a part of this game, and that's why AK. That's why we're here. That's why I'm top 10. Once they stop fucking around with me, you got Kane, you got DC. You know, you got these guys with great legacies. You know, even Todd Duffy when he was coming through, other guys when they're coming through. We learned a lot. You know, it's a blessing to be able to. It's the pace.
Are you still the top? AK has been very proud of saying that they're the best gym in MMA ever because of the titles you guys have acquired with Habib and Luke and Daniel and Kane. You feel like that still holds true?
Yeah, man, we're coming up, man.
Jackson's got great accolades, and so does American Top Team. As of late.
I feel like we just beat them. You know, it is what it is. You know, like proof is in the pudding. And again, all I can do is worry about me, and I'm on my way up.
Mm-hmm. How close is the team outside of practice room?
We're good.
Yeah.
You
guys hang out?
We talk. Some of us do.
Yeah.
Like any team, you know, not everybody hangs out. You know, some people hang out. You know, little groups, obviously, but we come together as a team, like Voltron, when we need to.
And then you guys go support each other during the fights.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've seen Luke there with Daniel, and I've seen them all.
Yeah, I'm here supporting Tony Johnson.
Yeah.
You know, Tony Johnson's fighting, so, you know, that's the real reason why I'm here, you know, and I also have a little business of my own.
Is he fighting at Dana White Contender
Yeah,
Series?
he is. Tony Johnson, yeah.
The guy that fought DC like 7, 8 years
ago?
No,
not that Tony Johnson.
Okay.
We have another Tony Johnson.
Another Tony Johnson.
We have another one.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to see if we can try DC one more time. Listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, Channel 156. Stay close. We'll be right back. We have Justin Willis and Stitch Duran in the house.
The man, Stitch.
The man, Justin.
Hey.
So, Justin, I know you saw the fights this weekend.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the major ones. What did you think of Paulie Malignaggi versus Artem Lobov?
That was a great fight. It was very close. I think that Artem won.
Okay.
I think it was a great fight, though.
Did you feel like it was boxing versus MMA, or was it just two bare-knuckle fighters fighting?
And the thing about bare knuckle is you can really use a lot of MMA, a lot of shoulder. I mean, a lot of locks on the head. You can hold the guy's head down and stuff. So I think it gives the advantage to the guy who knows a little bit about grappling.
Would you ever do that?
No.
No bare knuckles.
No, I'm good, man.
It's a temperamental game.
Yeah, man.
I'm telling you.
You know, I think it's really good for me. I found my calling, and my calling is MMA.
Okay. What did you think of Rafael Lovato Jr. upsetting Gegard Mousasi?
I thought Gegard won, personally.
Yeah.
But, that's me.
You would have given it to him, what, 3 rounds to 2, 4 rounds to 1? Okay, 3 to 2.
I think that it was just too close not to take it from the champ. That's it, but that's my personal opinion. It is what it is. He won. Congratulations to him.
Okay. What did you think of the Korean Zombie versus Hanato Moicano?
That was a beautiful shot.
Yeah.
That was a beaut. That was a beaut, mate. That was one of them shots where it was awesome, man.
So quick, huh?
Yeah,
55 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, man. That timing was awesome. He could tell he's been practicing that. He's been throwing that, and he landed it with perfection.
After that inverted elbow, I just thought he was going to be a little tentative. The one he got from Yair last year?
Yeah.
I thought it was going to start off slow. Hell no, man. That guy went like 0 to 90.
Yeah, I think he said that's not going to happen to me again. And
if you own one of them dragsters, man, you want him driving it.
Exactly. Yeah, he's out.
He's not going to hesitate.
Yeah.
That was like hitting a home run on the first pitch, huh?
Yeah, it was, man. It was crazy.
Bam.
Beautiful shot.
Yeah. Which one did you enjoy more out of all those? Did you find a little bit of love for bare knuckle, or was it just the main event that you were interested in, or can you appreciate them all for different reasons?
Like all different.
We had kind of like a submission artist doing his thing against Mousasi.
Yeah.
We had the quick KO in MMA.
Yeah.
And then we had the heated rivalry in bare knuckles. Like all these different reasons for why I tuned into MMA. I was getting all that satisfaction on Saturday.
I'm digging KOs right now because my next fight I'm going for one. So I'm digging them, so I enjoy seeing them right now. So, yeah, that's it. I like the KO.
Did you watch boxing on yesterday?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. There was a junior middleweight named Jamal Charlo, one of their twins.
The twins, yeah.
Yeah, he had a vicious KO here at Mandalay Bay. Ooh. It was yesterday. Had you told me like you were coming in a day early, I was going to tell you, come check out these fights because it was a good crowd, man.
Did you guys go?
Yeah, we were there.
Oh, nice.
We saw Roy Jones and Lennox Lewis, and so it's like the boxing communities.
Well, they had
they support each other, and everything's
nice.
so
They had a
cool.
grand opening for the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame the day before. So you saw Tommy Hearns was here, and just a lot of the top fighters.
Oh,
and they all went
Tommy
to the
Hearns was
fights.
here?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's what's up. Tommy Hearns is the man.
He sure is. Yeah. What was that like the first sport you grew up to love? Because MMA you're 31 years old if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
MMA is 26 years old. So it could be that your first sport could have been MMA, but what was your first love?
Smear the...
Yeah, I got you. Tackling. I got you. So football.
Yeah, probably football.
Are you a Raiders fan?
No.
49ers?
No, I was a Cowboy fan.
Oh my God.
I know.
When's this guy leaving?
But and a lot of times when I'm wrapping guys' hands for the first time, this I'm wrapping Justin here. I'm always shooting the shit with him, and I try to find out how they got to this point from here to there. And did you play other sports in school? That was a question I always asked.
Oh, not really. I didn't start playing organized sports until I was a junior in high school.
Yeah.
I was always moving around as a youth, so I mostly grew up just street fighting.
And that was another question I was going to bring up.
Yeah, just street fighting.
So you were just born to fight.
I am just me.
Yeah.
You told us a pretty epic...
And then he's from East Palo Alto.
Yeah,
so you got to fight there, bro.
I had to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He told us a pretty epic street fight story. And I remember it was a little, not emotional, but it took you back to a dark place.
Yeah.
Because you basically said as kids they made you do it.
Yeah.
Now, since this is a whole separate spot you're doing here in studio, and you said you've done a lot of it, what about as an adult? Do you have a good, funny story you can share with us about the street fighting days?
Let me think. Give me a few minutes. I got
like at a bar or a nightclub or the beach or a restaurant, a Denny's. I don't know.
A girl involved.
Okay. I'll tell you a story. So I used to be a bouncer. You ever heard of Cardiff in Campbell?
Yes.
Yeah. So I used to be I was a bartender, and my homie, I won't say his name.
You used to sling drinks? Nice.
Yeah, I used to sling drinks a little bit. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Sorry, guys. But I did the job. And
Employee of the month over here.
I was talking, man. I was a good talker.
Okay.
So we were in the back, and there was 2 people that were there. I mean, fast forward, we found out that they were there for a funeral. And so they were
at the bar?
At the bar. Another bar, Cartoons, which is around the corner. But you have to walk behind the parking lot of Cardiff to get to this other bar.
Okay, so
they're plastered.
Gotcha.
They're plastered, and it's
so that's the celebration of life portion.
Yeah, it was it was bad, man. Gotcha. So I didn't know that at the time, and so.
And by the way, where's Campbell? Because the rest of us don't know.
It's in San Jose. It's a little
San Jose. Gotcha. Okay.
A little small town, little suburb around San Jose.
All right.
And the male, he went and he whipped this thing out and was just drunk as hell, pissing on the fence, and I said, put your dick away. And the guy, didn't like that. And his girl,
this was outside?
Outside, broad daylight.
Okay.
I was back there eating nachos and saw a penis. That wasn't good. That's not a good sight,
And not good for dipping.
So I basically told him, put your dick away. He didn't like that. So his girl, started getting irate, being drunk. And, I tried to handle the situation like, Big Pretty would, I started talking to her, and she liked the way I was talking to her because of the simple fact I was telling her, you shouldn't be like this. You got to understand that that's public indecency. I'm explaining to them what's really going on.
Okay.
And they didn't like that, so she ended up spitting on me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Then what she did was, I didn't know this at all, and one of my teammates, who's still my teammate to this day, was there. He was the bouncer with me. She ran across the street to the rest of her people who were in the Cartoons. It was about 20 of them. And said that I called her, all kinds of names, and I pushed her and lied on me.
Okay.
So they all come rushing from Cartoons to literally mob me, and me and my friend Ernesto, we fought them all off, and it's been all on camera. This is a real story.
I'm assuming the bar had indoor restrooms. Seems like she could have. He could have avoided the whole problem.
They were just drunk. They were drunk, and then the worst part is when the police came. Who do you think they arrested?
Yeah.
The brother.
You know what I'm saying? This is a true story.
Wow, and when the mob came over, did a fight break out?
Yeah, a fight broke out. They came after us, and the first.
How many were with you?
2. Me and
and how many were with them? 20.
At least 20. And it's all been on camera. Witnesses. My friend Ernesto.
How'd you guys do?
We did pretty good. The first thing he said, "Don't fall down and keep your back against something." And I knew we was in for one.
Wow, that almost sounds like Gladiator, right?
Yeah,
Remember when he was giving them the instructions at the very end?
Yeah.
Stay together, create a core, don't drift off, or anything like that?
So, they're trying to get behind us, throwing crates, throwing rocks. And the police pulled up. And the first person they arrested was me. Only got one of their guys.
How many people did you lay out?
I was at least 3, to be honest with you.
You were 3-0 that night?
Yeah, I was cleaning him out.
Makes you wonder what happened to the person whose funeral it was earlier. Maybe that was last week's riot,
Wow. All right. Well, hey, you were just doing your job, and
I was off.
They did you dirty.
I mean, I was on break. I was eating nachos.
The nachos, man.
Yeah.
I was just like, put your dick away. I don't want to see that doing broad daylight. I'm eating nachos, bro. What I mean? That's public indecency or some other shit, whatever you call it.
No, I agree with you, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a good one. That's one of our favorite.
That's a good one.
Segments that we do on the show with the in-studio guys. All right, a quick update on Daniel Cormier. He apologizes profusely. He'll be on tomorrow's show, so we'll get a chance to talk to him, Richard, tomorrow. But we can still push ahead here. We have Justin Willis and Stitch Duran here in studio. Now, you told us what's next. You have a lot of fights coming up, including the Pacquiao fight.
Yes, I'll be there.
You're on that card or whatever. And then for Justin Willis, you got to sort things out tomorrow and see. But as far as your health, you could fight how soon?
I told them August 1st. I'm open to anything August 1st. I mean, honestly, man, all I asked for was, because the fight was on June 21st, I asked for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's a fair request.
There's something else going on because, after these other guys take losses, they take 6 months off. Ngannou got 8 months off, whatever he did after that fight with Stipe. He got that time off.
Right.
All these guys are getting time off so that they can actually go and reevaluate. So when you tell a guy, listen, I'm not going to give you 2 weeks for you to get better, that's telling me that they don't want me to get better.
Mm-hmm. Man.
I wish that, but you got to tell me that in my face.
Who's the one that gave you the notice? Was it Sean Shelby?
No, it was Mick. I think it was Mick. I think it was Dana. I don't know. Now I find it out. It came from all the way up top. Yeah. So it's Dana.
Wow. I don't remember. I don't remember seeing you ruffle feathers.
Yeah, man. No, man. I mean, I've been polite to everybody in the UFC staff. And if I haven't, man, all you got to do is come talk to me. I'm one of them guys.
And I'll tell you what, like Elias seems pretty easy to get along with too.
Yeah.
But I was just kind of reaching when you go on Google and you put his name, you see that he's been a little bit outspoken.
We're different type of fighters as well.
So I thought, could that have been it? Do you know, Richard? Have you seen anything about Justin or Elias that stands out to you?
Let me ask you this, though, Justin. Are they dealing with you directly, or are they dealing with management or an agent or anything?
See, I'm the type of guy where, I like to hear things for myself. I'm a man. At the end of the day, my management has a job, and, at the end of the day, I have to look out for myself as well. So sometimes, when you're a person where I create paths. I walk my own path and I leave a trail. It's one of those things where I just do me, I be me, and that's the only thing. I refuse to be anybody else. So, when it comes to these situations, I want to come and I want to see in his face what he has to say and how he has to say it.
Well, I think that's smart for you to go there directly. What I meant was when this happened, if there was a manager or an agent or something, sometimes what I've seen is the issue is with the manager or the agent. So sometimes the fighter, if that guy represents more than one fighter, can just be collateral damage. Because if they had an issue with the agent, then it's like, I know how I'll burn you. Who do you represent? How about that guy?
Yeah, see, I don't know, and I don't want to put those type of things
I'm
in
not.
there.
I'm not accusing anybody. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying it's one of those things where it didn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make sense. Are they putting these guys like because you guys see how I come after guys who I fight. It's them and me, and I make sure they understand it's them and me. I don't give a damn about nobody else. I'm nice to everybody else, but my opponent is going to catch my wrath.
Have you ever been scolded for anything?
Just the part where after the first fight I cursed.
Okay, that's it.
I cursed. The thing with the guy who came and with Curtis Blades and talked to Curtis Blades in the lobby.
Right.
That situation. But like I told them, that had nothing to do with me. That's
and that was months ago anyway.
Exactly.
Was recent.
That was on them two as men. So however a man proceed and whatever a man does, I take no credit for it. And if I set him up to it, I'll tell you I have no problem with that because it's war.
Quick run of your division here. Obviously, you see DC beating Stipe Miocic.
Yeah.
How's he get it done? Still same thing? KO? Or you think a longer drawn out fight?
I don't know. I feel like Stipe will come in there more prepared. And the thing is, last camp, DC didn't work with me. I think DC's going to be even better.
How about Junior Dos Santos versus Francis Ngannou?
Fucking both. I don't care about either one of them.
It appears you're not a fan of either guy.
No.
Okay. Is there a reason for that?
No, just they're guys. They're the guys on my hit list.
There we go. But one of these guys is going to win and one's going to lose.
It's one of those things, man. I've come after everybody now, and now I have to be a different way. And that way is, I guess I got to entertain a little bit more.
What about Shamil Abdurakhimov versus Curtis Blades?
That's going to be a snooze fest.
Yeah.
It's going to be a snooze fest, whoever.
So don't buy a ticket for that show.
Yeah, it'll be a snooze fest, man. These guys, again, it's snooze fest.
And this is telling it like it is. Maybe when you're at UFC headquarters tomorrow, you start talking about an analyst job, too, while you're at
it. How about John Jones? Do you think eventually he'll ever come up to your division?
And if he does, I would love to fight him one day, man. That'd be great.
I guess they did some media. Did you guys hear about this? George Masvidal didn't show?
Mm-mm.
He didn't show, so Askren, he didn't go to the hashtag one in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But I think everyone knew he wasn't going. But this one they were expecting basically Jones and Santos, Holm and Nunes, and everybody to, answer questions and then face off. And Masvidal didn't show up, so Askren had to go up there and just kind of pose and wave to the crowd, but there was no face off.
Nobody knows why?
I haven't heard why.
Me neither.
Yeah, Masvidal is a little different now. He's not even working with a mobile phone or anything. Everything's through WhatsApp. So he just wants to be a little bit untouchable. Unreachable is a better way of putting it. He went on a reality show for 3 months. Have you ever heard of Exalton?
No.
On Telemundo and all that. And so they have like athletes and entertainers in the Latin world versus kind of like Joes versus pros versus pros, whatever. And they have they do stuff like that. But the guy went in there, Masvidal, and he made it towards the end. He got paid well, and he shedded like 30 pounds. But he said what he really enjoyed was breaking away from the world and not have to answer a phone and emails and this and that. So I think that's what he's doing, is just focusing in on the camp and doing work.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart. He's at a level where he can afford it.
Do you love interacting with the fans?
When it's fight time, no, I don't do that at all.
Yeah.
Right now, it's kind of funny to troll the trolls.
All right. Well, Justin, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Tomorrow, Goes will be there. Richard and I will be here, but go do your thing and shake the man's hand and settle it like men, and I think you'll be back.
Yeah.
I'm feeling pretty confident.
Yeah, but let's get it.
I see you as an asset to the company.
Yeah.
You have a good UFC record, good overall record.
Yeah.
And I think you have a fun style to watch. And then you have this matchup that's just waiting, waiting for you.
No, but that's the thing. Are they trying to really protect this guy like that?
We'll see.
Because if I beat him, or when I beat him, they know what's going to happen. Either if you don't cut him, who does he fight?
Yeah. Follow Justin Willis on Twitter at Big Pretty MMA, and follow Stitch Duran on Twitter at Stitch Duran. Thank you, Stitch, for
that's always my pleasure.
co-hosting
Thanks.
here, and thank you, Richard, as well for
absolutely
learning that deal. And you'll be back with me tomorrow. DC will be on the show tomorrow, and we might have another guest or two. So we'll see you in about 22 hours. For Justin, Stitch, Richard, Goes, Gabby back east, Eugene, that was his name, right?
Yeah, Eugene,
Eugene hanging out here. I'm George. Have a nice evening. Go out there and be a champion.
Suitcase kid, right? Let's get it.